What's up, everyone? MrAnimeRandom here with the third episode of the Random Anime Podcast. The topic today is anime villains. It's going to be very interesting. Have a few different co-hosts with me, not as many as the previous podcast episodes, but definitely an interesting, diverse group. We got Buta here,
What's up?
Zach,
Hey y'all.
and James.
Hey, hey.
So what's up, guys? We got anime villains. Definitely a big topic. I'm very excited to talk about some anime villains. We're going to talk about some very evil people, and what makes a villain, the whole dynamics with villains. Some of them were good and turned evil and turned good. So let's start off with you, Zach. Tell me a villain among any anime. Tell me an anime villain that you actually like.
I know people are going to hate me for saying this, but Marshall D. Teach in One Piece is my favorite villain.
Okay,
Nice.
Listen for the reasons.
go ahead.
The first time you meet him, you do not picture this guy as a villain. You think the first time you see him is with Luffy eating pies and drinking beer at a restaurant. You're thinking, this is a nice guy. Yeah, he's a pirate, but he's at least giving some worthwhile advice to Luffy. Then later in the episode, he tries to go after Luffy, and you're like, okay, so he is a villain, but it ain't gonna go anywhere. But then later in the story, you see his real intentions starting to come out, and it really comes out when Impel Down comes into play, and you really see that he is just pure evil. And then in the subsequent series, you don't really see much of him after the war. But in the manga, he's there behind the scenes pulling the string. That's what makes a good villain to me, where he doesn't have to be there, but you still hate him.
Hashtag spoilers, semi, sort of, kind of, but yes, I definitely agree with you there. One Piece has some very dynamic
Yeah.
villains. He's definitely up there with one of I will agree with you on that one. He is one of my favorites too, but I do have some other ones which I do like just that slight bit more. How about you, James?
There are so many. Like now, like you're asking me this question, like what villains I like, and I'm just thinking like all these like names are popping up. I'm gonna go with Sosuke Aizen
Oh, there you
Good
go.
one.
because like he is just like the coolest. He's all, you see him and he is all subdued, and he's glasses and he's a captain, and it's like, oh, he's a good guy. He's so nice, and it's great. And then like bam, oh, here he is. He's like takes off his glasses. He's like, I'm going to take over and you're all mine and I'm going to destroy everything. But like,
Now,
he kind of wavers. There is that wavering where he wants to eventually later on he kind of like change his mind. But
James, just so we kind of cater to those who might not have seen that anime, what anime is it from?
Bleach, it's from Bleach.
Bleach,
Yep.
yeah. You never know. You might
yeah,
have
yeah.
people who have never seen Bleach before, which is surprising, but you never know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, with the newer generation, they're not going to be able to start fresh growing up when it was brand new every other week.
I mean, they're
Right.
start like now it's like Black Clover and My Hero are kind of like the ones that people are like, oh, is this anime? I like this. Those are kind of like
And Seven Deadly Sins on
yes.
And how about you? How about you, Buta?
Well, after all the anime that I've watched and so many villains that have popped up, I have to go with a popular favorite, Lord Imes from Overlord.
Oh.
Literally, this guy is like from season 1, where we see him as an anti-hero, going into season 4, or season 3, probably season 3, but he goes from being a badass to literally the guy that owns the entire place. Like, he is playing chess with every single person that goes up against him, making sure that if he's going to face off against somebody, he's ready. Like, he's learning. He is making sure that every single ounce of his comrades, every single ounce of his allies think that he is somebody else. Like, he can be in a suit of armor thinking that he's the top hero. Then on the other side, he's acting as the boss.
Now, I love how each one of you picked some very interesting, unique, and dynamic characters. With me, everybody knows I definitely love Naruto's series, Naruto and Shippuden, and plenty of villains within that series. But among all of the anime that I've seen, which I've seen hundreds of different anime, I do have quite a few favorite villains, and this is actually a tough one for me too. I was getting excited once you said Lord. I thought you were gonna say the same one that I was going to say. Do you guys know which one I'm gonna say?
Is it Donzo?
Nope. It's a Lord something.
Orochimaru? No.
Nope. I'll give you a hint. It's a 90s-ish anime with a half demon.
Shisomaru? No. No, it's not sure.
I know. Inuyasha. It's an Inuyasha character. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, it's Lord Shishomaru.
Lord
Oh,
Orochimaru.
what's Shisomaru? Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
No, not Lord. Oh man.
I
Oh
was
man.
thinking-
that is a very good villain.
He
Yes.
he
Yes.
is full demon. He is evil from the get-go. He
Mm.
is the older brother, which in the dynamic of anime creation, they always seem to do whoever's older, whoever's taller, whoever's whatever that case might be, that's the more dominant, bigger character that's supposed to be either the more loving or the stronger or the better or whatever that case might be. So for Inuyasha to overcome his brother Shishomaru, that was that really interesting and kind of hit close to home kind of dynamic, where you have brother versus brother duels throughout the series, little spits and spats here and there, but he stooped to very low tactics throughout the entire series. I'm not going to get into to not really spoil much of anything because I'm going to do that for my review, but he stooped down pretty low. If you want to talk about villains, when they go to hitting, instead of just fighting the hero or fighting the protagonist and trying to just kill them, they use like, oh, let me just kill a whole bunch of innocent people, or oh, let me just reanimate your former sensei, or let me go ahead and kill your parents, or let me go ahead and blow up your city, or let me when they stoop to that level, that's like the pure evil kind of thing. That's
So
the kind of
basically,
villain I
Kabuto.
like. Pretty much, there's endless number of villains out there with different techniques and tactics. With all of these villains that we've talked about and said, yes, we do have favorites. We also have our least favorites, and I'm sure we have least favorites for different reasons. There are ones that people might go ahead and disagree with us for these different villains. I personally, and I'll start off this one, I personally thought that young Taguro from Yu Yu Hakusho was a villain that was kind of just forced into the whole entire plot. He was there as a rival for Yusuke because Kuwabara ended up being, yes, like the school rival, but he needed kind of that replacement within that series to be a new rival. But I felt that young Taguro was kind of just thrown in there as the villain. And then again, I'm not going to spoil anything on that one, but there's definitely a lot of dynamics and different changes that happen throughout the entire anime that makes me not really, I don't hate him as a character, but I don't like him in the series as a villain per se.
I understand that one. Yeah.
What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I can respect that. And when it came to when you talked about Korobara, I thought of Krillin. I'm sorry. Like, he
Going
gave
right
me
for the
that.
throat there.
Yeah. Like, he reminds me of so much of Krillin. Like, but more of a I went to school Krillin.
Now,
You're making me think of Plankton from SpongeBob.
there you
I
go.
went to college.
Now, how about you, James? Who's a villain that you hate, and it could be for any reason, but it's got to be one that you hate.
Okay. My brain is really like not letting me say the name. I know, like, you'll know who it is. Technically not like a villain, but he clearly is a villain. He in Full Metal Alchemist, he fused his daughter and the dog. Okay. And like
Yep.
Oh
my
yeah,
brain's
yeah.
like, what is his name? I cannot think.
That is evil, man. I don't care if he's
He's-
not technically a villain. He deserves to be.
He's the
Oh,
worst
he's a
character.
villain. He's a
Period.
villain.
Like out of like every character, it's like, oh, you have all the sins. No. You fuse your daughter with the dog. You're pure evil. Like, done. That's my least favorite villain. I mean, there are others, but that he will always be the first to like pop in my head. Oh, you fused your daughter with the dog. Okay.
The worst thing is the memes that have been spawned from that moment. It keeps bringing me back to how I felt when I first saw it, where I'm just like trying to cry and shocked at the same time.
That
Yeah.
was
Oh, Show Tucker.
Show Tucker.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gonna say. Yep.
He is.
How about you, Zach? Who's one of yours?
Mine's kind of broad, and it's also pretty current because the third season is going on right now. I'm a sucker for romance harem anime. I just like them because they're lighthearted, and then sometimes they have really good storylines in them. And one of those is Date Alive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I hate
I know.
every villain, quote unquote, in that anime because they're not really a villain. If you watch all the way through,
Yes.
hashtag spoilers. If you watch
Mm.
all the way through, every villain becomes either his girlfriend or an ally. It's ridiculous.
Yes. Thank you.
And each one at max is 3 episodes. But it's just well done. The action scenes are good, and a lot of things are good with the art design and the sound mixing. But the fact that you don't have one solid villain just messes with me.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely Date Alive is another great anime. Saw that when it first came out. Really good.
It's
Guys,
in
go
third
watch that
season
one.
right now if you haven't
Yep.
watched it.
How about you, Buddha?
Well, it's very hard. Like if I had to go with one villain that I hated even now to be an adult, would have to be every single villain from Bobo Bo 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 Bo. Every villain from that anime. I'm sorry, everyone. They either
That
become
anime was just ridiculous to begin with.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was
No, okay,
pretty
come on,
ridiculous.
yeah.
I heard they're bringing it back.
Oh no.
Yeah, they might be bringing it back.
The cancer returns.
Now, with those characters, I mean, do you have from an anime that you just disliked the villain because you hated them going against your favorite main character?
Not really. I mean, a good anime, you have to have that pro-tag, antag dynamic. You have to have it in any good action anime. Or to make a solid storyline progress, you have to have that protagonist, antagonist, whether it's a school bully or Frieza.
Right. Yes, it's definitely that perspective that they always throw in, whether it's a movie or a television show or anime, whatever the case might be. And that's the kind of villains I like, where they're just, that's it, they're evil, done. All right, audience, in the comments below, I'm going to ask you guys multiple times throughout this podcast these different questions. So feel free to post in the comments your guys' thoughts. Who is your favorite anime villain? I'm sure you guys have at least one. Post them in the comments. Also, guys, in my podcast co-host, guys, Itachi from Naruto. Evil? Not evil? Let me know your thoughts. What do you guys think?
No, not evil.
Yeah, he's not evil.
Not evil.
He's
Not-
very dedicated.
Now, just so we're not doing too many spoilers or anything like that, I mean, granted, this is kind of known relatively early in the series. Not the motivations and stuff per se, which again, this is kind of just keeping it very basic so we're not spoiling anything if somebody hasn't watched it, but Itachi did kill a bunch of people. It's not like he just didn't, right? So you don't think to some extent that's pretty evil?
Well, yeah, but there is always a reason behind things. And when you
Right.
said a bunch of people, it was like in the first season of Naruto, or the second season,
First,
he killed, yeah, like he killed, like literally his whole clan.
Right. Yep. Well, see that's the thing. Now he also joined the Akatsuki. You don't think he killed any other people?
I mean, he definitely did, but you know, I feel like he had good intentions.
Uh, to an extent, yes,
You
and I
know,
get
I mean,
the
it's really a double-edged sword
it
yes,
is
where
it
he
is
did kill a lot of people, but he was doing it under a certain pretense.
well yes, and just do not
And when you
don't
learn that
don't
pretense,
say right.
Don't say it. Don't.
Yeah, don't say it. Just because
Yeah, don't.
we're
Yes.
keeping the spoilers out of this or trying to our best.
when you
Okay.
learn the
Yes.
pretense, everything becomes clear. But
Right.
Yup.
unfortunately for Sasuke, he never
He's
truly
scarred.
learns that
Actually,
until way later.
Yeah.
actually,
Actually, he does.
could we
He
be anime?
he
Wait,
discovers
wait.
part of it.
Could we turn into anime villains by just spoiling every single anime? Ooh. Now
yeah,
that
would be
plot
bad.
twist, plot twist. We're gonna spoil every single anime under the sun, guys. If you're listening, no, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not that evil. I'm not at that evil. But getting back to the topic of evil, we could talk about the dynamic or the shift change with some of these villains. There have been many that started off as good and turned evil, and some that were evil and turned good. They kind of flipped the switch one way or another. Plenty of ones out there, and there's multiple actually in some of the bigger anime where they were once evil turned good or good turned evil. I'm sure you guys have heard and seen of a lot of those different type of villains. One for me in particular that stands out the most among all of the rest would have to be young Toguro from Yu Yu Hakusho. He's definitely one of those villains that he's kind of thrown into the mix as being a villain, and then he kind of flips the switch, or he kind of wants to flip the switch, and you kind of notice that flip or that change at some point in time during the anime of Yu Yu Hakusho. I'm not gonna say when, but there is that shift change that happens. Now for you guys, Zach, I'm sure you know of at least one villain that either was evil and turned good or good turned evil. So you could talk about one of those two.
Oh man, there's so many good choices.
Pick one right now.
All right,
You're on the spot.
I'm
Boom.
going to go with Gara.
Ah,
Okay, that's a good one.
The main reason being, in the very beginning, the first time you see him, what kind of vibe did he give you?
Evil.
He gave you that evil, sinister look because you know something was up. But then, as soon as Naruto goes on the adventure to save him, he becomes what you would think a good leader would be, and possibly the best friend of Naruto,
Right.
unless you count the evil bromance with Sasuke.
Of course. There's that too. Now, Buto, what about you?
Are we going like reverse, or are we going like
You could
how?
you could you could pick either a villain that was once good and now a villain, or a villain turned good?
Well, I would have to go with the most talked about villain till this day, and that is Griffith from Berserk.
Oh no.
Yes. Griffith, he is the total package when it goes from being that good guy that would sacrifice his own body. And I'm not throwing any spoilers because it's too creepy. From giving up literally his entire friends, family, everybody just to become powerful. And there's a lot to go by in how savage it was. But you'll have to watch that on your own.
You're such a tease.
And James, what about you?
Well, I'm gonna break up the little sausage fest of villains and say Juvia from Fairy Tale. Because she starts out,
Oh.
she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna destroy you with my water magic," and then like has that instant crush, basically,
Oh.
on Gray, and suddenly she's like one of the great fairy tale wizard. Like she's just part of the gang, and they're like, "Oh, Juvia's here," and Juvia's on our team now. Juvia's great. And,
Hey,
like,
I ship the Groovia.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Groovy all the way.
Same. Yeah, and it's kind of funny right now. I'm like, it's kind of funny how her ability is water, and she's kind of you all know where I'm going with this right now.
Yeah. Don't start that.
You
Don't
don't
start
have to.
fun.
You don't have to.
Good.
Everyone in the audience, post in the comments. Now's your opportunity. Let us know a villain that you think you like that had flipped the script, whether they were evil and they turned good or good and turned evil. I'm sure you guys have a whole bunch. Post them in the comments below. Let us know your thoughts. And just to give you guys, my podcast hosts, a question. We talked about Itachi. Now we're going to talk about a character from Black Butler, Alois Trancy. Guys, what do you think? Alois Trancy?
Maybe.
I mean, it's possible.
Almost there. Almost.
Almost. Almost.
It's
Yeah.
one of those borderline ones.
Yeah.
What makes it borderline?
Well, if you do good on one end and then you do bad, it's like in the center, like the anti-hero, like kind of like in that centerfold, like you're good and you're bad,
Okay.
like chaotic good, or neutral good, or neutral bad.
You think on a spectrum he's just about evil, but he's not quite there yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that thought. Anybody else want to throw in a quick few cents? How about you, Buta?
Well,
I mean, it's kind of hidden in the last name.
Okay.
I mean, the whole. Anytime I hear the word trans, I'm thinking a transition from one thing to the next, and the whole series, he's going from one thing to another and back.
yeah, pretty much.
I like that comparison too. Definitely nice. Definitely interesting. Just so we can transition, haha, look at that. We're gonna go into the last segment of this podcast. We're gonna talk about what particularly makes a villain, and to me, in my perspective, in my definition, there's so many anime out there, hundreds upon thousands of anime over the past decades. Plenty of manga out there too that have not been created into anime, so we're even including those. Many villains are just, oh, we're just gonna try to defeat the good guy or good guys or good industry or whatever it might be, and then they end up failing at one way, shape, or form because the good guy always seems to have more power, more stamina, more smarts, more abilities, whatever the case might be. But my kind of villain that I potentially like is the villains that seem to defeat the protagonist, the hero from time to time. Those are my favorite. Those are the ones, especially like in Dragon Ball. There was a lot of hero deaths, which I definitely liked.
So Frieza, basically.
Frieza, even Cell killed a whole bunch of good guys too. Cell
Yeah,
killed a
but you
bunch, and Boo
always
killed a
go with the
bunch.
original.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I believe Frieza is more evil than Cell, but Cell is a better villain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
But I'm gonna flip that question over to you guys. What do you guys think, with my perspective, my whole overview of a villain in an anime? Do you like a villain that is just slightly weaker or just slightly not as smart or just slightly whatever the case might be, and they always seem to, at one point in time, whether they early on or right towards the end of the anime, they get defeated by the hero? Or do you like that kind of villain that they haven't been defeated by the hero yet? Like, what kind of villain do you guys like? Or do you think defines like a true villain?
I feel that with a villain, it always comes down to that villain that is like literally strong from the get-go. Like there is a reputation on that villain. And then at the very last moment, like the character brings out like the big guns.
Okay. How about you, James? What do you think?
Well, when it comes to me, I like villains. I mean, honestly, I like villains of like all natures, but I do favor the villains that they kind of are even with the hero, but there's always like points where they overwhelm the hero, forcing the hero to go and like train and get like some new power, and then like come back and like beat them again, and then they kind of like stabilize. Like there's like the balance again, where somehow like the villain kind of hits that same kind of power level, and they kind of like keep squaring off until finally the hero does wipe them out for good. I don't know. I kind of like that. Like when there's that need for the hero to get just that much stronger to defeat said villain. I think that makes a good villain.
So you definitely like it when there is a power shift that keeps going back and forth like a seesaw
Yeah,
almost.
yeah.
That's definitely the types of animes I enjoy the most, where it's that back and forth where, all right, it's kind of like that battle, like the 1-to-1. Now it's like 2-to-1 and 2-to-2. Like they keep trying to even up the score and one-upping each other.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely
Yeah.
definitely the kind of villain that I like. Because do you guys agree with me that when you can predict exactly what's going to happen in the anime, it really gets boring to
Oh
an
yeah.
extent?
Yeah.
Like,
Definitely.
oh, I wonder if such and such a character is going to defeat that main big evil villain character that seems to be killing all the humans on the earth, or blowing up all of the buildings, or trying to destroy all the planets, or trying to suck away the power from all of the, the co-heroes, or
Mhm.
the partners, or the whatever the plot is in the anime. It always seems like they always set it up to be, oh, the villain's gonna just defeat everybody and everything, and then it's like, nope, the hero just seems to be just that little bit stronger, and then boom, defeats, and then done, and then yay, the day is saved, thanks
Thanks
to
to the Powerpuff
whoever.
Girls.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
That's just like how it is. But
It,
yeah,
it
it's
may not be anime, but it's still good.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. And that's pretty much where I wanted to go ahead and get into little these dynamics and different things with villains. Talk about some villains, ones we liked, ones we didn't really care for so much, and just different little sprinklings here and there. I want to hear in the comments below your guys' thoughts on villains. What makes a great villain? What makes a great protagonist or team of protagonists? or evil beings within an anime. Post in the comments below. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Also, hit that thumbs up button. Definitely gives me some love. Spread that love. Share with your friends. Subscribe if you have not yet. And hit that bell icon. And as always, guys, deuces up.